This is my attempt on how to solve nocturnal bruxism using this device. It's an earbud that can detect the grinding of teeth and can wake you up by producing a sound. But what even is bruxism and what's the point of using this device? Stress is something like really common and most people experience it, and there are different ways how to deal with it. But sometimes stress can also cause bruxism, and that means grinding your teeth together. And of course this is not good because it usually damages your teeth. And it happens during the night when you're not awake, so you are not even aware that you're doing it. You just wake up with a painful jaw, and of course, yeah, that's not good. There are ways to prevent it, so there are silicone mouth guards that you can put on your teeth, and that prevents the damage, but it still doesn't prevent the bruxism itself. So how to deal with it? I have here an alternative. It's actually an earbud that wakes you up during the night. So it's actually an active switch that detects when the bruxism is going on. So how it actually works, it's really simple. These two parts are 3D printed, and this part, so the earbud part, is based on Xiaomi earbud model, but it's a little bit bigger with some additions. So inside of the earbud there's a Piezzo active buzzer, which is connected to the battery, and the battery is also connected to the switch. And the switch lies inside of a 3D printed model that can fit on top of the teeth, and once the teeth are clenched together, they press the button and this activates the piezo buzzer, and piezo buzzer produces a sound which wakes you up during the night. 3D printing of the earbud was really fun because it only took 3 iterations to get it done. But for the 3D printed part that fits on top of the teeth, has the trigger and also the switch, it was really difficult actually to create, and it took 11 iterations, if not even more. So before I even started designing the 3D model that would fit on top of the teeth, I first had to obtain the 3D model of my actual teeth. I decided to go for the lower left teeth because they caused problems in the past. I printed this simple mold and filled it with clay in order to get an imprint. Beautiful. When the clay was dry, I applied a thin layer of wax and filled the mold with clear epoxy resin. After the epoxy resin hardened, I removed the clay and I was left with this beautiful model of my lower left teeth. But I still had to somehow transfer this physical model into a virtual one so I could continue designing the 3D printed part that would fit on top of the teeth. I really considered to use 3D laser scanning in this step, but since I'm not familiar with this application and it would take a lot of time to get accustomed to it, I decided to go for Polycam, which is an app on phone which lets you take pictures of your model and creates and renders a 3D model for you, and it's really simple and easy to use, and also it's free. And what's also really cool is that it lets you inspect your 3D model in a VR environment. After that, I exported the STL file and uploaded it to Tinkercad, which is a web-based 3D modeling platform, and I rendered the 3D model and got rid of all the unnecessary bits to make it look more realistic. And then finally the designing of the 3D printed part that would fit on top of the teeth started. There were a lot of trials and errors, and as I said, it took 11 iterations before I got it right. The goal was to create this part really small but really functional, so that each time the teeth would be clenched together, they would trigger the switch. Initially I thought 1 tooth would be enough, but then I quickly saw that at least 3 are needed for everything to be stable and functional. I was also thinking about going wireless, but then again that might not be a good idea because you could potentially choke on this piece during the night. Therefore these 2 holes that you can see are meant for the 2 wires that are connecting the switch and the battery. When everything came together and all the pieces were assembled, it was time to test it. Finally, I'm going to have a peaceful night. Oh no, I'm feeling stressed. Oh, I'm awake now. Anyway, I really enjoyed making this project because the first idea was really simple, but then more I thought about it, the more complex it got. And along the way I learned a lot of new stuff, and even though this is still a prototype and annoying device, I think it came out nicely and it holds a promise in the future, so maybe I'll refine it and I'll see you in the next one.